Imagine standing in front of a bank vault, its steel seam cold beneath your fingertips, the wheel turning and nothing happening. You have begged, pleaded, knocked, wept, and the door stays shut. That image is the honest shape of so many prayers. Earnest, sincere, powerless. But what if the door isn't opened by pleading at all? What if it opens because someone knows the code, because someone closes the circuit? We want to show you today the real physical change that occurs when you activate your gland. Not as a promise of instant miracles, but as a map, a way of moving from pleading to operating, from asking at the locked door to dialing the code and watching the bolts withdraw. If this word lands in your chest, type in the comments, exactly. I activate my gland. Stay with us. This is practical and immediate. The problem isn't faith. The problem is method. We have inherited a posture of supplication that treats God like a distant safe. We call, we beg, we await a response that rarely comes with clarity. Jesus did not meet every need by trembling entreaty. When he stood before Lazarus, he did not bargain. He announced. He closed something like a circuit. That scene is a theological anchor and, for our purposes, an operational metaphor. Jesus spoke with the authority of someone who knew how to reconnect a broken channel. That's our model, not to trivialize the miracle, but to learn a posture that moves an internal register and correlates with measurable changes in the body. Before we get tactical, a brief framework. There are layers to reality language: the symbolic, the experiential, and the physiological. I will use words like monad, archontes, pneumatics, and helix because they are useful metaphors, ways to name what blocks or allows signal. But these terms are symbolic tools, not litmus tests of salvation. Think of them as operating system words. Some people live with a clear channel to source, some live behind filters, noise, and interference. The three essentials you must carry with you are simple and non-negotiable: recognition, authority, command. Recognition is remembering who you are beyond the story you tell yourself. It is a biophysical reminder, the body knows it before the mind does, that you are not only a set of needs. Authority is taking your rightful posture. It is not arrogance. It is the internal gesture of sovereignty. To operate a circuit, you must believe you are authorized to press the buttons. Command is the concise, decisive statement that closes the loop. It is short. It is present. It does not negotiate. Now the translation into anatomy and physiology. You may hear me speak about the monad or the heart center as if it were only spiritual. To honor the title of this message, the real physical change that occurs when you activate your gland, we need a bridge between metaphor and body. For our practice, I will point to the gland that sits at the meeting place of the immune-emotional axis, the thymus, and the heart-associated center just behind the sternum. This is a narrative choice because that area is deeply tied to vagal tone, to the parasympathetic system, and to the felt sense of presence in many contemplative traditions. Some of you will resonate more with the pineal option, the little endocrine gland often associated with inner sight. Both are valid analogies. I choose the thymus to heart-associated hub because when we speak of changing a state of presence, the shifts we notice, calm breath, the softening around the chest, a drop in frantic thought, tend to correlate with changes in autonomic coherence. Whatever label you prefer, hear this. When you activate your gland, you are engaging a physical hub that can register presence, modulate stress chemistry, and alter nervous system patterns. To be clear and responsible, the language I use about heart center, thymus, pineal, and activation describes experiential correlations and plausible physiological shifts, things like improved heart rate variability, HRV, increased vagal tone, transient reductions in cortisol, subtle release of oxytocin, and a felt regulation of the sympathetic drive. These are interpretations, not medical certainties. If you have health concerns, consult clinicians. This practice is an internal operation that can accompany other care, not replace it. So how does the operation work in a practical sequence? There are 5 steps you will practice with me. Disconnect, descend, resound, declare, and release. Step 1. Disconnect. The vault door is loud with static, memories, opinions, the inner critic, fear. Disconnect means intentionally turning your attention away from the stream of content. It is not suppression, it is reorientation. Sit or stand. Lengthen the spine. Breathe slower. Notice the thinking and do not follow it. Think of your attention like a radio dial. You are moving away from the noise band and tuning toward a quieter frequency. This is a gentle withdrawal, not a fight. Name 2 or 3 thoughts and let them pass like clouds. If your mind protests, acknowledge it and guide your focus back to the center of the chest. Step 2. Descend. Picture an elevator running inside your spine. With each breath you ride down, past shoulders, past the throat, until you reach the center behind the breastbone where the thymus and the subtle heart hub sit. This is not technical physiology. It's an embodied image that helps the nervous system reorient. As you descend, your breathing deepens and slows. Your shoulders drop. A softening happens around the sternum. You can place a hand lightly over the area if that helps you feel contained. Step 3. Resound. Resonate with a quality rather than a demand. Notice what presence feels like. Warmth without heat, a sense of space without emptiness, a centered pressure like the inside of a tuning fork. Stay here long enough to sense a shift. You might feel a widening in your chest, a lengthening along the back of the heart, or a hollow calm under the sternum. This resounding is the signature of the gland becoming cohered with attention. Let your breath be full and slow. Do not hurry this phase. The body needs a moment to respond. Step 4. Declare. This is the precise, short command that closes the loop. Use words that match your soul. Here is a model you can use, adapted for clarity and alignment with the title. Thymus. I am here. I claim the authority that is mine by nature. Limitations dissolve. Alignment is established. It is done. If you prefer the language of monad, you might say, Monad, I am present. I take my rightful authority. The illusion of limitation dissolves. Alignment is commanded. It is done. Say it with feeling, low and steady. The point is brevity and conviction. Do not embellish. The command is an operator, not a negotiation. Step 5. Release. This is essential and often neglected. After you speak, let go completely. Do not watch for results. The human habit is to hover like a guard by the vault, ready to adjust. Release means stopping the checking. Trust the operation has been set in motion. Open your palms, step back, and resume ordinary breath. The release is part of the signal. Constant checking breaks the circuit. Now, a short, concentrated practice you can do anytime. Use these words and make them your own later. Breathe. Come down to the center. Feel the gland area warm and open. Then say, Thymus, I am here. I take my authority. Limitations dissolve. Alignment is commanded. It is done. After you declare, stop thinking about it. Return to life. Notice without needing to prove. What happens physically when you do this? Again, interpretations, framed cautiously. When you disengage from hypervigilant thought and orient attention to the chest center, the vagus nerve receives a patterned input that encourages parasympathetic dominance. Practically, this can look like a slowing and deepening of breathing, an increase in HRV, the heart's ability to vary the time between beats, a downregulation of cortisol secretion, a softening of muscle tone, and a subjective sense of calm. Oxytocin-related warmth and social calm can rise in some people. The felt sense of neutrality, neither hyper-excitement nor resignation, becomes a physiological marker of coherence. Those are the measurable friends that often accompany the inner operation we call activation. We must address interference. The system will be tested. There are three ways the field often responds during the latency between declaration and visible outcome: collapse, echo, and neutrality. Collapse is the immediate drop. Thoughts surge, doubt, fear. That didn't work. And you feel a mental or emotional collapse. This is not a failure. Often the system is rearranging. The collapse is a release of old tension. Observe it and do not react. Return to breath. That is enough. Echo is the repetition. Thoughts, images, or small external events mirror what you declared. Someone texts you an old worry. The body circulates small sensations. Echo is the environment permitting the new pattern to find its space. Do not be seduced into believing it's finished because the echo is only an amplification of adjustment. Neutrality is the steady quiet that follows. It can feel anticlimactic. No fireworks, no dramatic shift, just a new baseline. This is often the final sign of true coherence. In the biblical mirror, when Jesus spoke and the dead man walked out still wrapped in burial cloths, the real work began in unwrapping and re-entering life. The miracle had an operational aftercare. Expect subtlety. A word on authority. You are not inventing power. You are remembering a delegated posture. Theology and experience meet here. Authority in this context is a spiritual and somatic alignment. You are allowed to speak into your circumstance as one who is part of the created order, not as an outsider begging for crumbs. This posture must be practiced before crisis. Do it now in ordinary moments so that when the vault door becomes urgent, your fingers know the code. It is also necessary to name the obstacle metaphors we use. Archontes and the demiurge are symbolic names for systems, mindsets, or social forces that impose limitation. Habitual fear, shame, institutionalized helplessness. They are not personal enemies to be demonized. They are structures your attention must see and bypass. Pneumatics and helics. These are not categories of condemnation, but lenses. Think of pneumatics as persons whose interior register is already tuned to source, and helics as those whose attention is materially bound. These words help you identify patterns, not exclude people. We use caution because symbolic language can become dogma if taken literally. Let us briefly look at the Lazarus story from this lens without distorting the text. Jesus did not shuffle through a list of reasons. He addressed the situation with a declarative word. In doing so, he restored connection. He modeled a posture we can learn, not as a formula for playing God, but as a demonstration that reconnection is possible. The resurrection was not only a spectacle, it was a reordering of channels that had failed. We learn from that structural gesture. Call with authority, expect restoration, then step away from frantic rechecking. When you practice, keep a simple journal. Note 3 things each time: how you felt before, what you noticed during the resoning, and the first subtle shifts afterward. Over days and weeks, you will map patterns. Look for increased ease in sleep, brief windows of clarity during stress, softened reactive speech, or a new capacity to rest in presence. These are correlates, not guarantees. Here are practical cautions. Do not use this practice as a replacement for medical evaluation, therapy, or professional help. If you are on medication, speak with a clinician before changing anything. If you have trauma, consider working with a trained helper when you begin to move somatic energy you did not know existed. This teaching is a companion to care, not a substitute. Now, a brief intercessory style address to the source language that sits behind the concept of monad, short and sovereign. If you feel led, you can speak this aloud. It is short, present, and then released. I will use second-person address followed by first-person affirmation. Monad, I am here. I stand in the authority given to me by nature. The illusions that bind me unwind. Alignment is established now. So it is. Say it once. Then let it go. After you practice, patience is the steward of result. This is where many fall. They expect fireworks the moment the command is spoken. Manifestation has a rhythm. Some things respond quickly: mood, breath, a conversation altered by your new presence. Other things take a season, a bureaucracy, a chronic condition, a long-standing relationship pattern. Trust the cycle: operation, latency, signs, consolidation. When doubt reappears, treat it as a sensor, label it, breathe, and return to the center. Doubt is not the enemy. It is a signal that needs reclassification. You are not battling doubt. You are reorganizing attention, so doubt no longer determines the locksmith. Remember, this is not a technique for isolation or spiritualizing responsibility. Do not use this language to withdraw from relationships, care, or obligations. The posture of authority coexists with humility and mutual accountability. If you want to deepen this practice, do it daily for short sessions. 2 to 5 minutes in the morning, 2 to 5 minutes at night, and a quick resetting whenever you feel your signal falling into static. The more you practice when life is ordinary, the more fluent you become when life becomes urgent. For those who are skeptical of the language I use, monad, archontes, the gland metaphor, try the sequence as a somatic attentional exercise without the spiritual labels. Disconnect, descend, resound, declare, release. See what changes. The deliberate regulation of attention itself is a powerful therapy for stress physiology. Again, a brief scientific frame. When attention moves away from threat-focused rumination and toward a coherent center, the autonomic nervous system shifts. This shift often looks like increased HRV, improved breathing coherence, a softer jaw and shoulders, and a calmer mind. Cortisol may drop. Oxytocin and other parasympathetic markers may increase. These are plausible physiological correlates observed in contemplative practice research. But they are not promises. They are possibilities accompanying committed, consistent practice. A final example. Imagine you have been wrestling with a relational rift. You have knocked at the vault of reconciliation and heard silence. Practice the sequence privately. Do the 5 steps. Speak the short declaration. Then act like a worker who has set a machine in motion and left the room to let it run. Send a compassionate, clear message when appropriate. Hold to your boundaries, and let the process unfold without frantic micromanagement. Often, the new centeredness you carry will change the tone of the interaction in ways pleading never could. I want to close with a clear and pastoral reminder, and then a small final call. This teaching is an invitation to learn to operate, to reclaim an internal posture of authority rooted in humility, not domination, an authority that aligns body and soul with source. It will change your inner ecology in ways you can feel and in ways that sometimes appear in the world around you. It is not a guarantee of instant miracle. It is a method of reconnection that has both symbolic potency and plausible physiological correlates. If this teaching touched you, practice it now and then come back daily. Comment below, exactly as written. I activate my gland. Let that be your public anchor and a small ritual of commitment. It helps you form community around disciplined attention without creating dependence on spectacle. One last short prayer declaration in the form you can use privately, again framed as an operation and then released. Monad, thymus center. I am present. I take my authority. The barriers loosen. Alignment is in place. So it is. Then let it go. We are not asking the universe for favors. We are learning to close the circuit that restores a broken channel. The vault opens not because of pleading, but because someone knows the code. May you learn the code, practice it in quiet, and carry its calm into crises. If you found this helpful, like the video and subscribe for deeper practices that pair spiritual discernment with grounded somatic techniques. Practice daily, observe the signs without obsession, and bring this posture into your life. Stand before the door with the code in your hand, then step back and watch the bolts retract.